Hey guys, welcome in. Welcome in. If you're new or just passing through my channel, welcome. My name is Tam. I'm also known as the Enlightened Auntie. If you're returning, welcome back, squad. I'm here today to do another general collective reading. We're not sign specific here. We're also gender fluid. I may say you and I'm talking to them. I may say them. I'm talking to you. Put yourself in the story wherever you seem to fit. Remember that time and energy are fluid. So I could be talking about the recent past, present, or the future. You know, that's crazy when you got random shit flying off your desk. I was like, I didn't bump my table or nothing. Okay. I've had some interesting things happen today, so okay. We'll just go with it. All right, y'all, let's jump in. I hope everybody's doing good and feeling good. We're going to start off with an oracle opening. Oop, okay. Building blocks. We're building a foundation, making it sturdy. We like it. We like it. All right. Look at you busy. Not just building blocks or creating a foundation, but you're busy. You're busy doing the work. You're doing it and you're doing it by the book. We like it. We like it. Well, whatever it is that you're working on, it's requiring you to walk away from a group of people, maybe that you have never really felt like you were a part of anyway. Okay. And this could even be talking about building your own foundation. Especially if we're talking about a family dynamic. You have to work with what works for you. And maybe even within the dynamic, there may be somebody here in the dynamic that, while you may not have issues or conflict with this person or people, maybe finally recognizing, maybe part of the struggle is recognizing that maybe you're ready to move on and recognizing that these people are not, I don't know, they're not truly meant for you, or you trying to keep the peace. If you've got to do work to try to keep the peace, maybe that means it's not for you. Maybe you're finally ready to acknowledge that. Yeah, and there's also an acknowledgement too that if you were to reconcile, there has to be an understanding too that I don't know, I kind of get the impression that there wouldn't be any real change. Yes. So part of the dilemma is also recognizing that, like, trying to keep the peace within a situation to try to mend. I don't actually see you trying to reconcile, but in the event somebody here was trying to reconcile with you, I think part of the dilemma is for somebody here to recognize that there's no actual change. Change in the person or a change in the relationship dynamic. Okay, maybe it's the fact that it's like recognizing that. So if there's no change in the relationship dynamic, then that means that there's probably still some conflict or the tension of opposites that exist within that dynamic, and you would have to overcome that in order to actually reconcile and make this thing work, right? But I think, again, there's something here in the acceptance that something is not meant to be, or that it's not for you, and you being able to like see it. Mm-hmm. And part of the lesson here was for you to kind of, one, move past the fear of, like, maybe if you are walking away from something, or you've made a decision to kind of just, keep moving on with your life. I think part of the lesson was here, number one, to overcome fear of doing it. Number two, it was to stop the ruminating about it. Like maybe you had one thing going on with, there was a little bit of fear and, reluctance. The other side of it was the the mental jumping jacks that you may have been playing with yourself, trying to figure out, should I stay? Should I go? What if we did this? And what if I tried that? And what if they did this? And what if I did that? And just understanding that I feel like you acquire more balance, or you gain balance in your life by simply moving away from this and allowing it to just be whatever it is without trying to control the dynamic or trying to control the outcome or expectation. Yeah. Yeah. I think the thing... Okay, I'm also getting another loud message here too. There is something, and this ain't for everybody, but there is an energy here that is calling somebody to really put in more effort with their connection with the divine. So if things aren't necessarily lining up for you, or they're not falling into place, the way that you would hope for them, it's calling for you to spend a little bit more time in reverence with the Lord. Okay? Yeah. Instead of, and I don't know who I'm talking to, but instead of like seeking assistance or seeking help from someone else, or having an expectation that somebody's going to kind of come in and help you, there's definitely an energy here. Somebody here needs to get right with God. Instead of expecting someone to be responsible for your peace, somebody needs to be honest with themselves. Because there is an energy of here, somebody having an expectation, like wanting things to be the way that they want them. So I don't know. I don't think this is you, collective. Because this energy, just like these, like 4 or 5 cards right here, it kind of feels like somebody would feel more at ease or more at peace. Like, say if their life was going, yeah, this ain't for you. So if somebody's life was upside down right now, it's almost as though there's an expectation of you providing some kind of comfort or help to help make their lives easier. The thing is that the relationship is over, or your connection to them is over, and you're not doing anything about it. So if somebody here is out there on their own, they're having anxieties about being on their own. But I also feel like there's a strong need for somebody to pay attention to the circumstance that they're in and realize how they got themselves there. Because it's kind of like the energy that I was getting just from the bottom of the deck. It's almost like, if somebody's life was upside down, it's like they want you to put your cape on and go in and save them. But if it was you, I had the energy of like that being a reciprocal energy. If it was you, I don't think this person ever showed up for you the way that they expect the way that they expect for you to show up for them. Okay? All right. So from the bottom of the deck, I feel like by you putting in all this effort to build your own foundation, the work that you're doing to build, and you've been divinely guided, but the work that you've been doing to build your own foundation, to start over, it's like starting over and starting from scratch. This is like, reparenting yourself and going through this entire like soul evolution, right? And what you're trying to, I do see it, you're trying to manifest or call in with the law of attraction relationship dynamics that maybe not only mirror who you are, it's to try to, get relationship dynamics that are a reflection of who you are, but you're also calling in relationship dynamics that are reciprocal in nature, where there's a fair exchange, and that that you don't have to do a whole hell of a lot in order. It's like you don't have to jump through hoops in order to have these people in your life. Okay. Now the interesting thing here is, now I'm not gonna lie, mending and regeneration are here in the upright, but I want to pose this to you. If the energy does support a reconciliation and you are aware that there is no change, that whoever we're talking about, they haven't changed, or the dynamic between you hasn't changed, and you know that and you can see it, it is very important. This is part of the dilemma or blockage. It is very important for you to stop and assess and think about where this person or these people fit into your future should you decide to reconcile. Because the energy is here that, you know, whoever I'm talking about, if this is your family, because I'm kind of getting a family situation, if there is energy here that supports a reconciliation, ask yourself, where do you see these people in your future? How do you benefit from having them a part of your life in the future? Okay. And also part of the lesson here too, I think for someone, part of the lesson here is number one, I don't think that, because whoever the connection is to, it is somebody who is a soulmate. And I'm always going to remind you, soulmates aren't always romantic in nature. But whoever this is, it's somebody who is actually a soulmate. And soulmates are people that we learn some of our greatest lessons from. This is somebody who is connected to your past, could also be connected to a past life experience. It's almost as if you were supposed to wake up and recognize this, or somebody was supposed to wake up and recognize this. But there was a soulmate connection here. Okay. Okay. And I feel like while you may not have imagined that it would ever be this way, if this is a family dynamic, I think you have found some level of acceptance. It's interesting. Somebody's found a level of acceptance, but having a really hard time going with the flow and moving away from it. Interesting. Yeah, okay. Remember what I just said. Like, if you decide to reconcile with this person, yeah, because, okay, remember when I said down here, it's like you want to be in connection with people where you don't feel like you have to, like, put all this extra effort into having somebody. It's like, oh, it's like you don't want to feel like you have to jump through hoops in order for people to just show up for you. So again, if you are contemplating somebody here, if you are contemplating a reconciliation of any kind, if these people or person ever made you feel as though, like, you know, if you felt like you were an outsider. Now here's the thing, because I got to point this out, and because it's kind of sitting on my head right now. If you felt like an outsider, why? What made you feel, because this is the part where we take responsibility for how we show up in the relationship. Okay? So if you felt like an outsider, don't Don't flame me in the comments, okay? I'm playing devil's advocate right now because I'm seeing a couple of different scenarios right now. If you were in a situation where you may have felt as though you were on the outside or felt rejected or felt, this isn't really giving an energy of rejection though. Because the pondering that we're questioning is, why did you feel like that? What was being done to make you feel like that? And what did you do? And this is not me, placing blame or anything. I'm asking you, like, when you felt like you were on the outside, what did you do to make yourself feel a little less included? I hope this is coming across right. Because what I have in my mind's eye, it's kind of like somebody who feels like they're not part of the group or not part of, of this dynamic or whatever. But then maybe it's not, because I'm playing devil's advocate because I'm just based on the energy that I have here, because this is a dilemma. What if you made yourself a little distant because you felt like you weren't like them? Does that make sense? Again, I'm not trying to place blame or anything like that. I'm just saying, like, like we play a role in these relationship dynamics. So I'm trying to analyze the role that you may have played. And then on the flip side, like, if you felt like you were jumping through hoops, were you jumping through hoops in order to feel like a part of the group? Yeah. There was a cycle here, or the lesson that, okay, because I can kind of see that too. Part of the lesson here was maybe asking yourself, why did you feel the need to jump through hoops in order to feel like you were being included? What was important about being included? I just heard, I don't know. Yeah. Okay. So here's what I want to point out. Because it kind of feels like somebody jumping through hoops in order to feel some sense of inclusiveness, like somebody wanting to be a part of the group, right? But never really questioning the intentions of, why do you want to be a part of the group, a group that may make that you feel a little bit on the outside of. But here I feel like you're jumping through hoops to be a part of and that was part of the lesson here. You may have repeatedly jumped through hoops to be a part of a group that wasn't even really meant for you. You didn't know, so no shame. But you may not have recognized or not known that these people were literally not for you. And I think one of the biggest dilemmas here was your inability you weren't able to see it. Sometimes it's hard to see when you're like in it, when literally the cycle that you've been on, you didn't need to go through all that. So again, if the energy is supporting a reconciliation or a do-over or a second chance, before you involve yourself, ask yourself why. What would be the intention, and where do you see these people in your future, as a part of your future? Where do you see them? You ain't got to answer me, but ask that of yourself. I love it. And part of the lesson here was for you everything happens in divine timing. Nothing ever happens in our own timing, but literally it was meant for you to come to the realization to stop putting in effort, to just stop. Be honest with yourself about what it is that you needed to be happy. And the work that you needed to do, whether on yourself or the work that would need to be done within the connection in order for you to be happy. I think the biggest thing for you is to recognize that I just heard no resentment. It's funny, I was looking at the soulmate card when I heard it. No resentment. Because carrying resentment in your heart is whack, especially when you see shit for what it is. When you can recognize, I think that's the other thing. It's like having a healthy understanding. When you can recognize that certain people or relationships, they just aren't in alignment. They're not part of your destiny, not part of your, not part of your destiny, literally. So instead of having resentment, it's kind of like, and I tell this story when I have personal clients. I tell this story sometimes about the way that I healed with my relationship with my father, and I talk about it on Twitter. If you follow me from Twitter, if you follow me here from Twitter, I had spent a good portion of my life, my adult life, hell, my whole life at that point, carrying around all of this hate and resentment for my father because he was absent, instead of being grateful that God had actually put somebody else in my life to take his role. I had an awesome stepdad who raised me. But I had carried around all of this resentment for my father until the very last time that I saw him, and I looked at him and I just saw like him and the quality of his life, the condition that, mental health condition that he was in. And in that moment, it was almost like magic. Like I had been carrying around this shit for like a good 40 plus years. I think at the time I was like 46, 47. And I had been angry probably since childhood. I mean, after I kind of got over the whole, being enamored and the daddy's girl thing, once I got past that, I was just angry. I hated him. I was mad. I was legitimately mad. But when I finally saw him that last time, it just all kind of washed away because I recognized in that moment, I was like, oh, dude, you're like living in the karma. You're living in your karma. And even at that time, I wasn't like on my journey, so I didn't even have the words for it, but I recognized it very clearly. He was living in his karma for the choices and decisions that he made with his life. So it kind of allowed me to set the burden of being angry and hurt and all of the shit that I've been carrying around. It allowed me to finally put that shit down. Why be mad? I'm not mad at you because you were just incapable of being what I needed. You know what I mean? It's the same thing that goes with, like my relationship with my mother. Like, yeah, she wasn't the greatest mother. And yeah, I could be angry and bitter and mad about, the way my life was, but I'm not angry about it. I've moved on. I'm just, I know better. So there's no reason for me to be resentful. I don't have a reason to be angry. Don't be resentful. If this is your family, there's no reason. Because when you carry that resentment and that hate and that anger and that bitterness, child, you just leave the scar wound open. You just leave it open. Don't do that. You deserve so much better. Just go be happy. All right, let's clarify. I like it. Yeah, you might have just, did you just dip away in the darkness? Did you dip in the darkness? I see a couple of things here. I do feel like you may have been, like I said, a little bit reluctant, a lot of bit reluctant to move away from an environment that wasn't emotionally supportive. I think you may have known that there was more for you. Like, you know, if I want something different, I have to actually do something different. So this literally could have been your decision to just take a stand, step into your power, make an executive decision, and move away from something. Do it scared, because that's what this looks like. It looks like doing it, like, even though you may not have had full confidence in what you were doing, you did it anyway. Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm. You decided to move away literally from your past. Overcoming the difficulties. Overcoming the difficulties. This definitely feels like you chose yourself. And you might have even been a little bit worried about making the wrong choice. Like, did I do this? So there might have been a lot of hemming and hawing about it. You might have, because it looks like you did it scared. You might not have been fully committed to the decision, but it looks like you did it scared. It looks like you did it scared. Now, I also see an energy here. This looks like turning pain into profit. So if that's what you've done, congratulations. Good for you. Yes. You've had to actually kind of look at yourself in the mirror and think about what it is that you wanted for yourself and make decisions to move forward. Yes, yes, yes. You still have fond memories of the past because, you know, it wasn't always bad times. Um, but again, I think what you recognize is that you want to be in connection with people who are reciprocal, that there's unconditional love. Like, you don't feel like you're jumping through hoops in order to be in connections with them. And you're moving towards, you know, you wanting to be in more solid foundational relationships that can't be shaken. Remember when I said we could be talking about like you being with, you know, like you're on, they feeling like you're on the outside, or feeling like, you know, here's your family dynamic and they treat you like the redheaded stepchild, right? They treat you like you felt, because I don't actually see that, but it feels like that. Now, what's interesting here is I do get the impression that somebody here may have expected you to come back. Somebody here may have expected you to come back, maybe with your hand out. Like, say you move away from a family dynamic, and then, you know, you got somebody in the family who's like, that's okay, they'll be back because they can't do this, that, and the other, and they're going to need my help financially, because that kind of looks like you. Somebody may have expected you to come back with an expectation of needing some kind of help, with no intention of actually trying to help you, though. So you may have mustered up all the courage that you need and just kind of figure some shit out for yourself. Yes. And now that propels you into some type of financial independence. Mm-hmm. You may have developed a muscle you didn't know you needed. Yes. Love it. All right. So part of the lesson here was making a judgment call. Making a judgment call. You may have had, now this interestingly enough kind of looks like an abusive parent. It looks like an abusive parent. Somebody who's abusive power, maybe verbally abusive. Somebody who talks a lot of shit. I also definitely get an energy here of like this is the realization that somebody you were dealing with, because you see it in full spectrum. You kind of see it. There may have been somebody here who could have been abusive. Definitely could have been a liar. You have somebody here who's very transactional. They don't do shit for you unless you do something for them. You may have had to make a strategic exit. You may have had to make a strategic exit. You may have also had somebody here who, again, could have been telling lies about you. Maybe you find out about the person that's telling lies about you. And maybe this is you feeling kind of... Now, it's interesting because I think part of what your lesson is, too, is for you to kind of move past the past. To move past your past. Because if you're recognizing that these people ain't your people, and then you're also recognizing, too, like, okay, so even if, like I said, even if reconciliation was on the table... You have to ask yourself, are these people really the kind of people that you want in your life, and where are you going to put them? And are they going to, you know, like, where are you going to put them in your life? Do you have room for them? And I can almost assure you, like, if you're feeling some kind of regrets about the past, because again, remember I said, like, you might not even be looking at the family dynamic in the way that you were meant to. Like, you had this vision in your head of what the family dynamic, what was that, the last reading? I don't know. Maybe you had a vision in your head of what the family dynamic was supposed to be, and now you're actually seeing what the family dynamic is, what it is, versus what you thought it was. And so that maybe this is the disappointment in that. Child, acknowledge how you feel. Feel the feelings, because there's nothing wrong with it. But you got to learn to heal from it. You have to let go of the past. You have to, because it's not even important to carry with you. Look at that. Yeah, if somebody comes back from the past, because I even had it from the bottom of this deck and I didn't want to dive too far down into that. If you have somebody that's circling back from the past, really ask yourself before you engage, is this something I really want in my life? And like, where does it fit? Where is it going to fit in my life the way that my life is set up right now? Like, ask yourself that before you get involved. What time is it? Yes. So the connection here, there could have been a toxic connection. I definitely see that we're walking away from that. We're walking away from it. Especially if we're talking about somebody here who is... I don't know. I'm getting a very clingy energy here. You may have somebody here that's codependent on your energy. Secretly. Well, the relationship has come to an end. The relationship has come to an end. It might have been very painful for you to make the decision. It might have even been the kind of like I heard, shock to the system. It might have even been a certain kind of change that you never anticipated having to make. But I also I don't get the feeling that you feel the need to defend yourself for the decisions that you're making. I don't ever recommend it. Yeah, you might have been afraid for a while to move on. Maybe it took some time to recognize that you needed to move on in order to to kind of recalibrate your own scales. Yeah, you might have been this might have made you really sad. This was something that it wasn't on your bingo card, right? But again, by simply putting the burden down, setting, like for me, like when I finally realized that, it's kind of like you don't get to pick and choose, even though I know they tell us like we choose our journey before we're even born. We choose our parents, we choose the lessons. And I can't tell you how many people are like, oh my God, I would have never chosen this. Child, you don't know. You don't know that. But here's the thing. By overcoming and going through all these trials and tribulations, you're just proving to yourself just how strong you are. It's really about reframing the way that you look at things. Has my life always been a cakewalk? Hell no, my life ain't even a cakewalk now. But I value the lessons that I've learned along the way because they were necessary. They were necessary for sure. Yes. And this is you. I'm really choosing to move forward. Yes. Choosing to move forward. You know what? Especially when you spent more time trying to cultivate a relationship dynamic that you really couldn't find any stability in. And actually, when you finally recognize it, then it makes it that much easier to walk away. Yeah. It makes it that much easier to walk away. And again, like I said, there is potential here for some type of a reconciliation, but you have to ask yourself before you truly engage if that's something that you genuinely want to do. If you don't want to do it, then I don't recommend that you do. But if you do want to reconcile and you miss these people and you want them back in your life, before you re-engage, ask yourself why. Ask yourself why and where are you going to put them in your life? Like, are you going to be actively involved with them? Are you going to just, hook up with them around the holidays? Like, how are you going to work that out? Child, Timu is blowing my phone up right now. Child, new life. I like it. Ooh. And you might be establishing this new life like out of public view, right? Because what you are generating, what you are, especially like the things that you really love, whatever it is that you're working on, you may be doing it out of the public eye so that it has have longevity and you're being guided to do so. Okay. Somebody here needs to speak up. Because I do have the energy here. Somebody needs to heal. Someone needs to heal. I have the energy. This could have been you either getting past, moving past the cycle. Moving past the cycle of being emotional and feeling weighed down and burdened by what to do with this relationship dynamic. Okay, so there's fear. Remember I said somebody needs to speak up. There's something that needs to be communicated, and I think if you communicate it, you'll be able to actualize some healing. Otherwise, you continue a cycle. This feels like having a heartfelt conversation or expressing yourself in a heartfelt way, but you might be a little fearful. or someone's fearful. Oh, oops. This one's flipped. It's interesting because I also feel, oh, okay, let me take both. Thank you. With the growth and transformation. Okay, so part of the lesson here, I feel like, was for you to kind of, I think at one point there was a lack of self-reflection. I'm being called to remind you to look, I want you to look at how far you've come from where you were. So I won't even put a time, well, I won't even put a, really put a time limit on this. So like we'll say like maybe in the last year or two, all right? If you look back, because I'm also getting the energy here, maybe you're not giving enough appreciation to yourself for all that you've like gone through to get you where you are right now. Because I think like that was part of the lesson for you to see it, to see, because you haven't had a time, maybe you've been like on, in that grind mode where you're just, working, right? But you're not, while you're in the process of doing all this work, you haven't really had a chance to sit down and kind of soak it all in, everything that you've experienced, everything that you've been through, everything that you've healed through, and how far you've come and where you are right now, where you are today, to see the growth and transformation, because there has been significant growth since you've been at a distance from this person or these people. You may also be actualizing a whole lot more abundance, and I won't just necessarily just deem the abundance as just purely wealth, but I feel like you've grown a lot. You've grown a lot in the time that you've been apart or separated from this person or your family dynamic. Okay. I wanted to flip. Denial, failure to accept a situation, unhealthy cycles or addictions. Success, it's your time to shine. Success from what you pour your heart into. Soulmate, the divine will provide you with love when you are ready. Sacrifice, giving up something now for a future reward. Recognition, admiration for your hard work is coming. We like it. Putting in the work, actions that help achieve goals, building the path to success. Be open to change, be receptive to new experiences, growth. Be receptive to new experiences, change leads to growth. I hate when these cards don't have proper punctuation. Balance, juggling too many things at once, find time for yourself. And finally, confession, releasing a secret, pursuing virtue through honesty. Remember I said down here, like there's somebody needs to communicate or have a conversation, relay a message that would promote healing, but somebody is afraid. Okay, let's do 5 Chinese 5 elements oracle. And then I'm going to go. Fire sheep, clear your blockage. Card number 44. 44 may be a significant synchronicity for you. I think this card came out recently in a reading. This card appears to assure you that you have within you what it takes to realize your dreams. But first, you must release unnecessary attachments to the past. Mercury's still in its post shadow. I'm going to start from the top. This card appears to assure you that you have within you what it takes to realize your dreams. But first, you must release unnecessary attachments to the past, whether feelings, people, habits, or self-limiting beliefs. Attend to the heart to stoke the fire within. Treat yourself kindly. Love and compassion for the self will save and elevate you from what's been dragging you down. Check in within for what could be keeping you from moving forward and up. Pay attention to your immediate environment for clues, as our living and working spaces can directly reflect the state of our mind and manifest into various blockages. Clear your desk, remove anything blocking your path at home, and clean up the car. Stay connected to the heart, the source of the inner fire and the center of our being, with meditation, positivity, kindness, and gratitude. When we're aligned, everything falls into place. All right, guys, I'm going to leave it there. If any parts of this reading resonated for you, gave you clarity or confirmation over your own situation, give the video a thumbs up so that we can circulate into the algorithm and get this in front of the eyes that need to see us the most. If you would like to book a personal more aligned with your own story, all of my information is below in the description box, and I invite you to join me for a session. And my books are always open. I usually have like same day appointments or whatever, but I'm booked out. All of next week is booked. Look at the calendar again. All of the rest of this week is booked, and I might have like 2 or 3 openings next week. The week of my birthday, because my birthday is next Friday. Shout out to all my Taurus friends. All right, guys, I'm going to leave it there. I will be back tomorrow. Yeah, I'll be back tomorrow. All right, I love you guys. Till next time. Take care. Bye.